Welcome back to the Becoming Her podcast. You guys, Dr. Ann and I are back for another fire episode, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. How are you, Ann?
I am good. I'm good. I've done more today than most people do all week.
I know, girlfriend, like she got on and she's like, I've taken a 27 mile or I've done a 27-mile bike ride. I've taken two baths. I've done this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you've just had, yeah, three full days in like 6 hours kind of thing.
It's productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
I
power
feel
of
like I'm
getting
going
up
to
at
crash.
4 a.m., I guess.
That's right.
I used to be the 4 a.m.er. I would be the girl that was up at 4. I would eat my pre-workout oats. I was at the gym at 5 when I had my corporate job, and I like thrived on that, like thrived, but I appreciate my sleep now. So I'm more like a 6 a.m.er. It took a long time for me though to accept that because for a while I almost wore that as an identity. I'm like, I'm up at 4 a.m. I get all the things done. And I just realized my body thrives more with sleep, as we
It's
all know.
tempting.
Yeah, it does. It likes its sleep. All right, you guys. So today we're going to be talking about a concept. And I was telling Anne, when something tends to reoccur in my DMs, and I'm seeing this often, I know it's time to record a podcast about it. But we're going to be talking about how you've been able to build a first class life, meaning you've tackled your career, your family, the home, the vacations. On paper, you have it all put together, but your body feels like coach. It is
Mm.
the one thing that you have yet to be able to truly tackle. And quite honestly, it's the one thing that's probably been holding you back from really truly showing up at your highest self. And so we're going to talk. What I really want to dive into today, Anne, is the mental side of this for somebody
Yeah.
who very much so, if this is something that resonates with you, you're probably a type A personality. You like to check things off of your to-do list. You have very much so a masculine energy when it comes to being able to tackle multiple different things at once, and you almost thrive in that. Let's dive in. Like first and foremost, let me say this is not about laziness. This is not about willpower. This is not
Mm.
about discipline. And I want to drive that point of it home. But I'm going to let you steal the show for a second and talk about what that does to us mentally when we've been able to check every single other box off. And there's probably a mentality for a lot of women that I'm smart. I should be able to figure this out. Why can I not do this kind of concept?
Yep. And, I hear this a lot in my practice as well. And this is for a lot of people, a lot of women that come in, a lot of men that will come in that say, I've been able to do everything. They were kind of like, the straight A, B student when they were in school. They were able to achieve, go to AP classes, like everything, it seems like came easy to them except food and managing their body.
Mhm.
And they might have had glimpses of managing their body really well with lots of extreme dieting or rigidity, but have always faltered when it comes to this, or have now faltered when it comes to this one before it was really easy.
Mhm.
Um, and so I hear this very often, and I think what happens a lot of times, and what I hear a lot of times in my practice, is a lot of people that will come in saying, "What's wrong with me?" They feel like they are broken, that there's something inherently wrong with who they are as a human being, and that somehow they're the only person on the planet that can't manage food, or they've bought into this, and I do want to say this gently, lie that they have to look a certain way at a certain age. And I hear
Mhm.
this time and time again.
Mm.
And the amount of shame and sadness that comes with that, as well as this kind of unrelenting anxiety, because many people, by the time they walk into my office, have tried everything under the sun. They have tried every diet, they have tried every workout regime, they are busting their butt no matter what, and they've just gotten to a place where they've given up. And when people walk into my office in that stage, it is usually in a place of really significant shame, and just feeling overwhelmed with what to do next, if anything.
Yeah. So why do you think that typically tends to hit? I mean, the shame is there regardless if you identify as a type A person or not. I
Yep.
absolutely. But why does that typically tend to hit the type A personality a bit more?
Well, type A personalities tend to be highly perfectionistic in general. And
Mhm.
perfectionism, by the way, is always about shame. It is not actually a good thing for us. But the difference is that perfectionism feels like it's working when I'm doing well, but it feels like it's not working when I'm really struggling with something. And a lot of highly perfectionistic type A people myself included, struggle to ask for help or admit that they don't know how to do stuff. So they will try again. They will say things like, I'm smart enough to figure out XYZ. Why can't I simply get this? Or I'm talented enough to do this. Why can't I manage food?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I manage my body?
Mm-hmm. And there's also the piece of when this becomes your own journey. I've talked about this multiple times in prior podcasts, but when this is your own journey, it is really hard to apply the tools and tactics that mentally we know we should be doing. But when you have an emotional attachment to your own journey, that can be a challenge. And we recorded a podcast, I don't know, was it 2 or 3 podcasts ago, where we talked about how a type A personality tends to get hit a bit more with menopause as estrogen starts to drop. So if you guys haven't listened to that podcast, I would highly encourage you to go listen to that podcast. It was really great. And we dive into just hormones declining and what's going on inside internally. So cliff notes, menopause changes the game. It absolutely does. And it would be ignorant to say that hormones don't matter. And hormones for a lot of females is something that is still taboo. It's still a scary concept. It's still something that feels slightly overwhelming. So a lot of people just don't go down that road because they just don't know. But when estrogen starts to drop, we start to lose muscle mass. We start to become more insulin resistant. The things that used to work are no longer going to cut it. The whole just eat less, move more rule book, playbook is no longer serving you in this phase of your journey. And so it can be really, really hard when you are somebody typically that has probably always done the things, right? You probably resonate, but Nicole, I eat clean. I work
Mhm,
out. I check
mhm.
off those boxes, but my body still isn't responding. And so when you are a type A personality, myself included, and you're checking off the boxes that you should be checking off, but yet the ROI isn't there. You're not seeing that return on that investment for all of that energy and all of that effort that you're putting into it. I'd love for you to dive into this, Anne, because I know that this is something, again, you've struggled with when it comes to your, just menopause and hormones, but being a type A personality as well, like the impact of
Yep.
that.
Yeah, and I speak of this often. I think one of the hardest things for me to do, because I will work hard. I will work hard and then I will work harder. And then if that doesn't work, I'll keep working. And so, so at the time that I had actually come to you to get coaching, I was putting in 100 miles a week on a road bike. I was eating clean. I was trying to manage the calories as best I could. And I was actually doing a really good job with it. Um, but my weight steadily was either increasing or my body still was changing. I was getting more around the midsection.
Mm-hmm.
I felt softer, even though I was really pounding the pavement, and that historically had always worked for me. So cardio has always been my number one love when it comes to exercise. I was actually, and I love it. I enjoy it. So it wasn't like it was hard for me in terms of the exercise itself, but was hard is the fact that I was getting increasingly less in shape the more I was doing.
Mm, mm,
And I hear a lot of people in the same exact shoes. I hear a lot of people that are doing Whole 30, they're doing intermittent fasting, they were trying keto. If there was the Brazilian diet, like there have been so many diets that have come across. I've had to look up diets before because I'm like,
oh,
I'm not
there's
even
always
sure that
new
I'd
ones.
heard
You're
of
like,
that one.
what? You're like,
I
that's a
know, I was
thing.
like,
It's like, yeah,
I'm
that's a
sorry, I
thing.
don't know it. And I've heard so many women and experienced this myself where you try something, it works for a little bit, and then it stops working.
Hmm.
And that is because it was not inherently meant for you. There wasn't a good strategy involved with that. So, and I say this all the time, you can eliminate food, you will lose weight from that. You just will. Eventually, your body's going to figure it out. And eventually, it's going to come back on, or you're going to miss that food. And that is one of the challenges with this. But that's also one of the challenges with not having a program and not having something that you can actually rely on that's built for you.
That's built for you. I love that. So, how did you shift when you were in this mentality? How did you shift from the I should know how to do this mentality to the I'm open to learning a new way, new strategy mentality?
So I think I actually hung on to that for a hot second. I'll be I'll be open. Um, and I kind of did what my coach at the time wanted me to do, half believing it and half not
One
believing
foot
it.
in, one foot out kind of thing.
That's right. I was like, fine, I'll do it.
But I'm going to prove you
Look,
wrong. This isn't going to work.
right. That's right. And she had to kind of pry my cardio out of my cold hands. Um, and I was really upset with it initially. I mean, I would go to the gym super salty. I didn't do a ton of strength training except for when I was a competitive swimmer. So I wasn't necessarily loving it. And I didn't know how to do it. And it dawned on me as I was working out and accidentally getting stronger that maybe this is actually
Right.
working. I say accidentally, I mean accidentally for the effort that I was putting in. So, um, but I think honestly, it was more along the lines of I don't think that I believed this is totally it. I think I believed more. I need to try something else because I've tried everything that I know how to try. I've
Mm.
done everything in the book. And so might as well give this a shot. So when she said eat more, I was like, geez, this sounds too good to be true. But okay, I will try it. But if I gain 5 pounds, I'm going to be really ticked at you.
We're doing it my way if the scale goes up, kind of thing.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to pull back.
And I love that you brought this up because just like you said, before trying this approach, I was checking off those boxes and understanding that effort doesn't always equal results.
Hmm.
And it is so ungodly frustrating when you're putting all of the energy and all of the effort and you're checking off all of the boxes and you're honestly working harder than anybody else in the room. But you're not getting that ROI. You're not getting that return on investment,
Yes.
back. And there is nothing more daunting, especially when that energy has served you your entire life, right? Like this is honestly when it comes to your career, when it comes to your family, when it comes to your home, when it comes to this first class lifestyle that you've been able to build. And that same energy and hard work and dedication doesn't translate into your body. And there's a mental mind F that goes with that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I think it winds up becoming very discouraging, and most people in that space feel very helpless or hopeless about
Mhm.
life and about what to do with their. And I hear a lot of people come in and kind of just say, either help me learn how to cope with this, or and they do the exact same stuff that I did.
Mhm.
They fight with you. So they say, I can't possibly eat more, I'll gain weight. I can't possibly give up cardio, I'll gain weight. I can't possibly do this, or I've never strength trained before, why am I going to start now? I've always done it like this.
Yep.
And that hopeless feeling and that helpless feeling, um, in conjunction with thinking you know better, super dangerous because what exists in America and what our culture really wants to endorse is a diet heavy culture. So if you're not following some extreme diet, if you're not giving up, I had somebody recently that got, I think I talked about this already, but that got angry with me, that said that you absolutely should be giving up sugar and that sugar is addictive and how dare I say that you could bring it back in. And I am living breathing proof that you can really struggle with sugar, be a sugar addict, and bring it back in. And bring it back in a healthy way and manage it. And I see so many people just try all these elimination diets, all these different fad diets, all these different exercise regimes. And yeah, you're going to get fit in 90 days if you work out for 90 days. Yes, you're going to see some benefit from that, but it's not sustainable. And so we keep trying, especially the type A personalities, we keep trying over and over and over again. And we are true, honest, we come by it very naturally. The very definition of insanity. I'm going to
Mhm.
do the same thing over repeatedly and expect different results. And it's like it's a different version of the same exact diet. Let's be honest,
Yep.
right? It's not something special like low carb, high carb. It doesn't matter what we call it. It's manipulating your food
Yep.
over and over and over again to get weight loss. That's what it is.
Yep.
And we would rather chase the number because the number is objective. The number makes sense to us. It
It's
is
logical.
yes, it's logical for us to say, I weigh too much. And doctors will say this too, eat less. It is not logical to say I should be eating more and working out less.
I should be actually giving my body what it needs because typically, when you are a type A and you've mastered your career and the success that comes with that, that came with for a lot of people, a lot of grinding, a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of time spent away from your family. There was like investment that went into that. And so when not only do we go against toxic diet culture, we get to a place where, mentality, we understand we have to go against toxic diet culture, but when menopause hits and these shifts in our hormones happen, and those things I hear often, it's like I never necessarily built a body that I can say I love or I was proud of, but these boxes that I checked, if I just, started intermittent fasting, then I could sustain and maintain what I was able to achieve with that. I could, you know what I mean? And so they served us. I never truly built a body that I love, but I'm not in the place where I'm in now where I'm just miserable and I've gained 20 pounds and I packed it, like literally went straight to my midsection. And now all of those things that kind of served me, they kind of worked, are just no longer cutting it anymore. Right. And so
Mhm.
when you're putting that effort and that energy in, how can we help women reframe and stop measuring worth by effort alone?
Mm, that's good. I I talk a lot about doing the hard, and hard doesn't necessarily equate to effort. Hard a lot of times equates to the emotional challenge that goes along with change.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes doing the hard, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm getting an A plus. It doesn't necessarily mean that the scale is going down or that I've lost inches within a week or that I, instantly feel slimmer 24 hours later. Sometimes the hard is the consistent, it is the boring, it is the unglamorous lifestyle changes that come along with what we have to do for sustainable weight loss and weight management and to actually have the body that we want. The easy, the fast, that winds up giving us all these gold stars. And type A's, we love our gold stars. we
Mm-hmm.
love we love we love all the metaphorical stickers in life, right? But what it really requires is a change of mindset about what it is that we're actually searching for and how to get there. And that requires us taking a look at small wins. I talked about this on a podcast that I did not too long ago about being able to celebrate all the tiny wins.
Mm-hmm.
The tiny wins are going to be things like getting in your protein. The tiny wins are going to be things like increasing your vegetables and your fruits and increasing your water intake.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tiny wins, but they're mega wins long term because those are sustainable wins.
And when you stack them, they pay off to big results. So they may feel tiny, but when you stack them, they pay off to that big outcome.
Yes. And I hear so many people wanting their wins to be, I lost 5 pounds, or I want my win to be that I gave up sugar for a month, or I gave up all carbohydrates for 6 months until I lost the weight.
Mm.
And let's be honest with ourselves at this point, because if you have yo yo diet and you're listening to this and this really resonates for you, and you have yo yo dieted most of your entire life, that has always been the target. But in the back of our mind, we've been longing for going back to the same way that we were eating before we lost all the weight,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's kind of like, well, once I get to this number, then I'll be fine and then I can eat normal again.
Yep.
And we don't say it out loud. I have heard so many people that are just, and I have done it too, where we're like, no,
It's
I
in the
can
back of their
live
mind.
this.
Yep.
I can eat an entire stick of butter a day for the rest of my life. I'm game for that. I love butter. For those of you that love butter, I'm sorry if I'm speaking to you. Um, but ultimately, it winds up not being sustainable because we have to convince ourselves that it's okay
Mm-hmm.
and that we like it.
Yep, 100%. And I always say, if you were to look at this as, I love how you made the analogy of stacking the tiny wins, but instead of, and the wins for most people, like you said, are, I didn't lose, like I want to lose 20 pounds. That's a win for me. But instead of, how do I lose
Yep.
20 pounds? How do I become the person that loses 20 pounds? And the person that loses 20 pounds stacks those wins. They continue to stack the undeniable evidence that they are who they say that they are. They continue to show up and follow through and commit. And those are the things that get overlooked because they're not sexy, right? Like it's not glamorous. You can't get on social media and say 20 pounds down today. It doesn't sound as sexy as, well, I hit my protein goal and I got my steps in. And so typically
Mhm.
society and just in general, we tend to identify the big thing as the only metric of success instead of stacking those wins, like you said. And I think that that's something that is really powerful. I guarantee for you when you first started that it was harder for you to make the mental mindset shift of these small things that we started to do, these small wins that we were stacking, than it ever was the program itself. Would that be a fair statement? Like, okay, I need to shrink.
Yes.
I need to, even if it's 30 minutes
Yes.
in the gym and your mind was saying this isn't worth, like, it's going to do nothing. I'm doing nothing. And so that
Yes.
mental shift there, would probably be fair to say, it was harder to mentally swap that mentality than it was to actually just get your ass in the gym and lift the weights. Fair?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
the gym was not hard for me.
Yeah.
The gym, and that's different for different people. The concept of going to the gym wasn't a hard concept for me.
Mhm.
The concept that it was
The
going to
type
pay
of
out over
training.
time,
Yeah.
that was the one that I was really doubting.
Yep. Yep.
And I've seen people in my office and also in the gym that seem to have worked out for months, if not, and not been able to get a good progression on appearance wise. So they weren't moving because they didn't have a plan in place that was for them.
100%. And to be fair to say that if you are type A, check stuff off the list, get stuff done kind of mentality, you probably value efficiency and certainty, right? I mean, that probably is a value that a lot of people have. And efficiency and certainty, specifically, that's something you've never truly had with your body. But efficiency and certainty isn't going to come. I made the analogy earlier, but it's not going to come from the budget airline approach. And the budget airline approach for a lot of women is the generic, like you said, keto, Whole30, Weight Watchers, intermittent fasting, Plexus, Optavia. I mean, you have to Google them or you have to look them up these days because there's so many different diets and they're all the same thing wrapped up in a different shiny package. They all
Yep.
put you within a generic box of restriction. They teach you how to quote unquote diet really well. It'll help you lose 20 pounds probably relatively quickly. You feel really good when you're able to drop 20 pounds, but it doesn't teach you as far as how to not diet. It doesn't teach you how to fuel your body correctly. It doesn't teach you how to change your body. And it doesn't teach you how to cultivate values that actually lead to long-term success. So what happens is, you guys, all of these programs, they're great marketing ploys, right? Like, I'm gonna help you lose the weight as quickly as you possibly can, but they're all designed for you to fail long term because ultimately they know for a fact that you're gonna land face first back into the cheesecake, as I say. You're going to gain every
Yep.
single pound back, plus the
Yep.
courtesy 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds. And then you always end up in a worse position than when you started. And that was me. Like, I would lose 50 pounds to gain 80 back. The amount of
Yep.
times I gained and lost and gained and lost, I mean, I say this often, but I quite literally lost track. It's pathetic. It was like 6 or 7 times. And I didn't have a problem getting the weight off. I was good at that. I was really great. That type A personality, you tell me what to do, I'm going to check the box, I'm going to do it. I had a problem keeping the weight off because when the scale stopped moving, my only metric of success was if the scale moved. And when the scale stopped moving, I wasn't cultivating values. None of these quote unquote diets allowed me to, you know, enjoy a cookie or a donut if I wanted to. I lived within boxes of restriction. And then I went right back into old limiting habits, patterns, and beliefs that kept me frustrated. I know
Yes.
you had something you wanted to add to that, Anne.
That what really resonated, what really I thought of as you were talking, I am less interested, and I would challenge people to take a look at this. I am less interested in seeing the results that somebody got for another person than I am the long-term results that they were able to
Mhm.
maintain.
Yeah,
Right. So, I can get you this, look at this person in 3 months, look at this person in 6 months, look how wonderful they look how fit they are. That concerns me less than 1 year, 2 years, maybe even 5 years down the road. How
hmm,
do they look then?
yep,
What is it that they are doing? Did they have a program that got them the results, but didn't teach them the skills
mm,
and didn't do something that was lifelong? Or did they teach you how to eat and manage your body for the rest of your life?
for the rest of your. I love that. I love that you brought that up because it is one thing to say that you lost 20 pounds. It's another thing to say that you lost 20 pounds and kept it off. And when people promote these crazy results of dropping 30 pounds in 60 days, go find girlfriend in 6 months and tell me if she was able to keep those 30 pounds off because chances are like slim, zero, zilch, nada.
Yep.
100%. And so when we look at this and I say the budget airline approach is these quick, easy, perceived as being easy approaches that put you within a generic box. And then we will look at the approach of the private jet, right? Like the custom strategy, the exact route, the approach that was truly mapped for your body, your goals, where you're currently at, but the approach that allows you to sustain and maintain and gives you the education to be able to actually keep it off. And coming from somebody who has done the budget airline approach, but also now has the private jet approach. The difference is obviously night and day, and not even just in your physique. And yes, your physique is phenomenal. Like I said, if I look half as good as you do, and in my 50s, I'm going to be like celebrating life, like I have won. And so like changing your physique is phenomenal, but the mental changes for you. I mean, I even hearing you talk about the difference, it's astronomical.
Yeah, and I think the only way that we can really do this successfully over time, not the only way, but the most successful way of doing this is by doing it in small little increments. And I would say every Brendan Burchard, James Clear, when they talk about atomic habits and
Mhm.
motivation for high performance folks, they talk about the little teeny tiny steps that you make every single week that makes up for big things by the end of the year. And I believe that every successful program has tiny steps, not big steps. And most dieting programs have big steps. You're going to lose 5 pounds by the end of this first month. You're going to lose 8 inches. You're going to do this. Look at this person. They have the body that they wanted. They look like they dropped 10 years off of their
Yep.
frame. But when it happens so fast, guys, that's really problematic because we're putting our bodies into a state of stress and we're not actually learning new skills that are gentle and graceful to the body. That we're not moving with our body, we're just kind of beating up on our body. And I think so many of us type A's are really accustomed to doing that, but that's what got us in the place that we were in for
Hmm.
most of us. And not necessarily knowingly. I mean, I believe that honestly, most of us have gone to a number of doctors or providers that have just said yes. And I heard it just the other day. I was at my doctor's office and I heard this exact thing. Oh, I guess this woman was walking down the hall with her provider and they said, well, you just gotta, like, it's just eating less. Like as you age, you lose, I think it's like what did they say, like 100 calories for every decade or something like that past the age of 40. And I thought, oh, I mean,
That's if because you're losing muscle mass.
yeah, and I was like, oh, well, there's another piece to that. Like, yes, that's true, but there's some other information that might be really
Yeah.
useful. And if and honestly, it does sound too good to be true for most of us. We think that somebody could say to you, eat more and you'll feel better and you'll be more toned and more fit. And most of us think that that's ridiculous. We think that
Hmm.
you're selling us something. I mean, I'm sure that there are a number of people that think that no, it's good for everybody, but not me. Or
Yeah.
Nicole, speaking to that, like those genetically gifted individuals that
Hmm.
just happen to have high metabolism, not me. No, it is for everyone.
It is
Everyone needs
everyone.
to eat more.
Yeah. And I always tell
Most
people,
everyone.
you're not the one special unicorn that this won't work for, right? Because I was that girl. I was the it must be nice girl, and I held on to that identity for a long freaking time. But I am sorry, you are not special and unique in the fact that you're the one person where giving your body what it needs to thrive, optimizing your hormones, prioritizing your not just physical but mental health is not going to produce an outcome. But that just goes against everything that we've been taught and ingrained that is toxic diet culture, right? Because that's what we've been grown up to believe. And it's really hard to rewire 40 plus years for some women of, these limiting habits, patterns, and beliefs, these tactics that have kept us stuck. It's really hard to rewire that. And so, how does one person go from like, how do you shift the mentality of prioritizing your health as an investment instead of a cost?
Oh, that's quite a shift.
Yeah.
I would say that across the board, American culture tends to be more of a reactive culture. In other words, and this is what Western medicine is actually designed to do. It's actually designed to respond to problems. And we know that because when you go into the doctor and you're concerned about something, usually with the answer that we get is, oh, your labs are okay-ish. That's really not that bad. This is what bad sounds like. This is what,
Mhm.
so we could do this and give you a pill, or you could just you could like suck it up.
Yep.
Essentially. I know that they don't say it quite like that,
But
but
that's basically what they mean.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I love the idea of you're going to pay for this no matter what. So either we are going to pay for the fact that we are not spending time in the gym when we're in our 60s, 70s, and 80s because we're not going to have the mobility, we're not going to have the strength to do things. Our body is going to hurt more, or we're going to pay it forward now. We're gonna do the hard work. We're gonna sweat it out the gym and learn how to do hard things and change the trajectory of our future. And we get to do that. We actually get to do that now when we're 70 or 80, even though we can start then, we may not have the same ability that we have now to protect ourselves in the future.
Yep.
And so think of it almost like your retirement account, but your retirement account for your body. I'm going to invest in this here and now so that when I do make it to those places, when I do have those unfortunate breaks or tears, that I've got more protection. I've got more already built up. I've got more muscle mass. I've got more balance. I've got more strength so that when something invariably does happen, not only do I have does my body have an ability to bounce back faster, I have the mental stamina to bounce back faster because I did the hard work in my
Mhm.
30s, 40s, and 50s. But also, my body has a leg forward
Yep.
and I know how to do it on the basic strategy level. So, yes, we'll go through seasons in life where we can't make it to the gym or where something happens or surgeries or you name it. Life is going to happen to us. But understanding what needs to be done, now that's priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding the routine and what needs to be set up and what the non-negotiables are, and the real non-negotiables, not the dieting non-negotiables, but the real honest, like sleep and good food and good prioritizing protein. All of those things are going to get us to the place that we need to be, but that is a lifelong thing that we get to keep.
Mm-hmm. I hear all
It's
the
like getting a
time.
degree.
Yep, it is. It is. And I hear all the time, it's like, I can't afford to do this. And in my back of my head, I'm saying, you can't afford not to. You're
Yeah.
either going to pay now or you're going to pay 20, 30 years down the line. And if it's like, if you think investing in your health is expensive now, if you get to a place where we're, breaking hips and bones and disease and all of those things, you guys know what pharmaceutical looks like, right? And the cost of healthcare, it's going to be dramatically more expensive down the line. So taking an approach that combats all of these things, and you guys hear me speak too, but we combine hormone optimization with high touch one-on-one coaching. And the high touch one-on-one coaching isn't the generic just eat less, move more, like Ann said. This is you understanding, this is not just us giving you the blueprint, but it's us teaching and educating you on how to sustain and maintain those results. Because again, this is longevity for the rest of your life. And I didn't keep the weight off is not something that my clients struggle with because they've built the foundation, they've built the non-negotiables, they have those pieces mastered, and they truly understand how to fuel their body, but also they're in the driver's seat when it comes to their relationship with food. And that's not something that happens overnight, you guys. I always say it's a dimmer switch, it's not
Yeah.
a light switch, right? You're not going to get to a place where you just flip the light switch on and all of a sudden you've got this. It takes intentional, I love the word intentional effort and practice day in and day out to get you to that place. But it also takes the guidance from a coach who has that 10,000-foot view, because you just see right what's in front of you right now and how uncomfortable it's making you right now. You can't
Mhm.
see what life looks like when not only have we changed your physique and you're walking into rooms with more confidence, but you have the skill set mastered. You understand how to pivot. You understand how to take sometimes, let's be honest, you get dealt cards that are shit and you understand how to make the best of the not so best cards that were dealt to you. And you understand how to make those changes and those tweaks and to be able to sustain and maintain. And that's the missing piece that, I'm sorry, keto or Optavia or Weight Watchers or Premier Protein was another one I heard the other. I don't know. Again, there's a bazillion. Plus, Plexus, Exingular. There's just so many of them are not giving you. And so when it comes to a private jet strategy, when it comes to a private jet, like the analogy there, that customization, yes, that's everything for your body composition. That's everything for you to actually achieve the end outcome. But that's also not just the customization, the education piece that you're lacking. Because again, anybody, like Ann said, anybody can help you lose 20 pounds really quickly. But tell me 6 months from now if girlfriend was able to keep those 20 pounds off, because it's like
Mhm.
slim zero, zilch nada. I was walking. Oh my gosh, I was scrolling my for you page. I can talk the other day, and I came across two lives within like, I don't know, 2 minutes apart from each other. One person was promoting a watermelon fast and told them that they would drop 30 pounds in 60 days. Yeah, yeah, a watermelon fast. So yeah, if all you're eating is watermelon for 60 days, you will be shitting your brains out for sure. And yes, you will definitely drop some quote unquote weight. And then the other person was promoting happy juice. Happy juice.
Yeah.
Yep, the happy juice. It just still baffles me. And the sad thing is women are desperate, and so they grasp on and they want to believe that this is true. And if you just drink this magical sparkly pink drink, then you're going to drop the weight, you're going to, fix quote unquote your hormones. You don't fix your hormones, you optimize them, you replenish them. This is going to solve all of your problems. And it is unfortunate that we still, and it will always be a thing. This is never going to go away. you know do you have something
Yeah,
to
can
say to
I
that,
can I
Anne?
just
Yeah.
I just the hard thing is longevity. The hard thing are all of these itty bitty movements that fit together like pieces of puzzle. If you go somewhere and think that a pill or even a GLP-1 in and of itself is going to get you to where it is that you want to go, that is not the stellar fix. That is not going to take you long term where you need to go. Learning skills, identifying those skills. And this isn't about trying to create an entire world of Barbies. That's not what I'm talking about. Middle-aged Barbies. That's not
Yeah.
that's not all this goal. Because really, and I say this for myself, um, I'm looking at my grandchildren and I want to be the grandma that goes on hikes and runs and can chase them down and can play with them and do all the things on the floor. And I know that the fearless grandma that can do all the wild stuff and the roller coaster rides.
Yep.
And that requires a strong body. That
Amen.
doesn't mean that I have to wear stilettos and mini skirts to feel good about who I am. Now, if you want to do that, that's absolutely rocking for you. I love that. But it's an investment in ourselves and it's an investment in our future because our bodies are going to decline. They
Mhm.
just will. It's by fact. Okay. They're going to decline. And you can always go back to eating like a trash panda. This is my little shtick on this, but I tell people this all the time because they don't understand. We can teach you the skills and you can learn a lot of the skills, but you can always go back to eating like a trash panda because what the skills mean is that you actually have to apply them. You have to use them. And we can't just yo-yo diet as your skill.
Yep.
You
Sounds
cannot just invest and quit in 90 days or 60 days even or 6 months. Invest, get to the space that you want to go, and then ease up. No, we've got to do something that's so gradual, so boring and tedious and consistent, but it's a little hard every day. It's not mega hard like diets are. It's not mega hard like, a PX90 program. It is a little hard on a consistent basis. And I will take that every single day of the week because that will get you results over time because you're investing in the process and living every single day with the idea that your needs have to be prioritized first in order to do a good job taking care of your people and your business. And
Mhm.
when we've cultivated as women, we've cultivated good businesses and we've cultivated nice homes, we understand the investment. We know we have to do it. Same with rearing children. We understand that we're going to sit and have uncomfortable conversations. We're going to have to check homework. That is an investment in our child.
Yep.
We create strategies at work. We implement, amazing spreadsheets and create processes at work. And we talk to our coworkers and our boss. We invest in that time. And yet we think that somehow when I come home that either this should be a dirty 30 and I should be able to
Dirty
do
30.
everything, do everything in 30 days and lose all the
Yeah.
weight. Or I should just throw some money at it and get some meals prepared for me and that's going to get me to work. Because I don't know about you guys, I never liked Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers, like all those prepaid meals that have sit in the freezer for
Oh,
endless amount. Like they're
yeah.
not fresh, they're not really that good, and you don't want to bring them everywhere you go. It's kind of boring to do that.
Yeah. They're gross. They're
Yeah.
gross. I love that you dived into this because I'm curious. So, the private jet approach is going to come with the ownership that you need to start prioritizing yourself and
Yes.
setting boundaries and doing those things. And that part, I think, alone for a lot of women kind of keeps them paralyzed. It's really hard to prioritize your needs, and that can feel very foreign and uncomfortable for women. So how do women, like, how do you start to let go of this guilt around prioritizing your needs and setting boundaries? Like, what's the first place to start for somebody?
I believe that a lot of us grew up, especially for little girls, we are often told, think about the other person first. Think about how they'll feel. Think about, oh, and we get encouraged and supported, not wrongly, for being really kind and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us grow up at best in highly codependent households. That's not all of us, but many of us do. And the very definition of codependency is I can't be okay if other people are okay. And so we, as mothers, as wives, as women in the workforce, are constantly caretaking the people around us. We're oriented to the person in the room that's in the most distress, trying to make their day, trying to bring them some sunshine and some light, and we forget about ourselves. We do. But think about it like your child, or think about it like your husband. If you just simply forget about them, you forget to check in, you forget to make dinner for them, you forget to help them with their homework or their laundry, they're going to get a really powerful message that they're not worthy, they're not good enough. We give ourselves those messages all day long, all week long, all month long. I'm not worth this 40 minutes in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worth going to the grocery store and buying the good food for me. I'm not worth meal planning. I'll get to it later. And I'm not talking about like, this isn't hours. I'm not talking about lots of time here. I'm talking about maybe 30 minutes.
Yep.
I'm talking about 40 minutes here and there, or prioritizing your morning to get some of your needs met. These aren't massive amounts of time. And so, in order to really make this shift, we have to realize that in order for us to be okay, in order for us to be okay, but in order for us to actually help other people be okay, that we have to be okay first, that we have to be in a place where we're getting our needs met. And what I hear for so many women is, when they start doing it, they feel so much guilt because they're leaving earlier, their kids weren't, I didn't have breakfast made, or my husband had to make the kids lunches, or they had to do this, or I didn't get to go do this with my friends. um, but I'll tell you what, when we learn how to prioritize ourselves, what happens is that we actually expand our ability to give to other people instead of diminish it. Because when we're showing up in life and we feel good about who we are, and we respect how we've spent our time, and we honor our bodies with eating well, and we have the energy and the fuel to do it, what happens is that my ability to caretake other people exponentially increases, because I'm well rested, I am well fed, I feel proud of myself, and I know I look good.
Mm-hmm.
And I show up as a different human being because I have met all of my needs first.
Mm-hmm. And I know the whole can't pour from an empty cup, it's cliche, it's cheesy, but there's just so much power to that. And I think I'm sitting here listening to you describe this, and you're describing slowing down at some point, like stop like the chaoticness and just allowing yourself to slow down and breathe and own the things that you need to own in your needs. It's like, why do women resist that so much? It's like hardwired in us. It's like we just resist and resist because I mean, I get we wear 18 different hats, and I talk about this often, and we're juggling 18,000 different things and between home and work and just, family and all of these different things. But why do we resist that? It's almost like our worth is tied into how chaotic we are.
That's it. It's
Yep.
it's like a merit. It's a merit badge for exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we feel like. And this is very much our culture. We feel like it says something amazing about us if we're exhausted by the end of the day, and we've taken care of so many people and done so much. And as we started this podcast, so I talked about my really busy morning.
Yeah.
Bingo, that's it. But and sometimes we have mornings like that, and days like that. But we think that if we can get a lot accomplished in the context of any given day or week, that makes us better as human beings, when really what makes us better as human beings is being a calm human being that feels good about themselves, because I reflect that back in my interactions with other people. I tell you what, when I don't take care of myself, even my husband and my kids, we like, no, mom, do you need to go out, like ride, like do you need to
We'll
like,
do something. We can sense it.
we'll make dinner, we'll clean. I mean, when my husband's like offering to cook and clean, I'm like, I know something's wrong. I'm just like, wait, what? And he does an amazing job with it. Lovely job. But we really have embraced this identity of being these worn out human beings, and like these vessels for everybody else to take advantage of, and to meet everybody else's needs. And we wear that as a badge of honor instead of the handcuffs that it actually is. It literally, it's restricting our lives to pay more attention to everybody else than what our needs are.
And it's hard to accept this as the thing that's going to actually change your body, because in reality, I'm sure all of those tactics got you to where you're currently at. They've served you
Yep.
at some point in your life, right? You've built the business, you have the titles, you have the house, you have the career, you have everything on paper that a lot of people would swoon over. But yet it's a different approach when it comes to your body, and connecting those two things can be really challenging, really, really challenging to slow down and take the longer approach. And while the longer approach isn't the sexy, glamorous approach, it always ends up being the quickest approach, because you tried
Hmm.
the super quick approaches to lose the weight, to gain them back, to end up in the same place kind of concept. And so, really being able to come to terms with that. And I always, like I said, getting out of your own head and out of your own ego, that is step number one. And once you really admit that what you're currently doing, it's not working, it's not serving you. And a lot of women have a hard time seeing that, because they see that it worked when they dropped 10 pounds, but they don't connect the dots that they gained 15 back. So it didn't really quote, I mean, I guess it worked, but it didn't, right? Because you gained the 15 pounds back.
Yep.
And then if you did lose the 10 or 15 pounds and the diet is miserable to maintain, you have no energy, your hair's falling out in chunks, you're afraid to eat food, you can't do date night with your husband, you can't relax and unwind around food, your food noise is obsessive, it's a full-time job. It's like, does that really classify as it working either? Like,
Yes.
and that's a hard thing to see for a lot of females, because they're like, well, I lost 20 pounds and I love the fact that I lost 20 pounds, but I'm an absolute miserable human being to be around, because it's just what goes into maintaining that 20-pound loss is, it's awful, it sucks your soul.
And I hear so many people say, I have no willpower. And it floors me. It really does, because your willpower is what made it through that diet that you were on for 3 months. Your willpower is what sustained you for those 90 days that you were doing this ridiculous 90-minute workout routine every single day of the week and eating nothing. That is actually what maintains you. Your willpower isn't the issue. It's the strategy, it's the program. It's the fact that you didn't have the longevity in mind. You weren't looking at the big picture. You were looking just simply how to make it to this goal. And it really didn't matter what I had to do as long as I made it to that goal. And if we taught our kids that, some of us might. I don't care what you do as long as you get the A. We're gonna get some calls from teachers. I'm
Yep.
gonna throw that out there. Some of my kids have said that, but mom, it doesn't matter if I'm not doing this because I still have good grades. And I'm like, well, you still gotta respect your teacher. You
Right.
still gotta show up and do the things. We still gotta make it to class, guys. But
That's
you know,
important.
I think we embrace that mentality. We kind of think like it doesn't matter what I do as long as I drop weight.
Oh,
Oh,
for sure. Oh yeah.
it's
Oh, for sure.
it, that's where watermelon diets make sense.
Hmm.
And what we have done repeatedly to ourselves and under eating and cutting stuff out and over exercising is you've eaten through your muscle. That is what you have done. When we restrict calories for really low, your body is literally eating the muscle because that is the preferred fuel source when it's in a starvation mode. And so we're on this vicious merry-go-round. We can't sustain these weight loss because muscle's what drives our metabolism. Muscle's the thing that gives us
To
tone. Muscle's
everything.
the thing that like
Yep.
makes us fit and gives us energy. And you're burning through it all because your willpower was used in the wrong direction.
Well, and then you diet and it sucks your soul, and you lost 25 pounds and you still hate what you see in the mirror, right?
Yes.
You end up looking like a melted candlestick, as I always say. You're skinny fat. And that sucks, because that mentality is like, well, I may have gotten close to that gold number, the amount of pounds that I wanted to lose, but yet I still hate what my body looks like. So if I just lose 5 more pounds, then I'll like what I see. And I always say there's not 5 more pounds that you can lose that's ever going to produce the look that you're after.
Yes.
Right. And that's the missing link for so many women. And yes, muscle is the key to everything that is good in life. And I love that you brought up the willpower, because I talk about this often. You don't lack willpower, you don't lack discipline, you lack direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that you're missing. And when you say you lack direction for a few different reasons, you've never truly had a plan and a strategy. We talk about the private jet strategy, custom to you, right? Based off of your goals, your lifestyle, and the quote unquote direction that you are taking is typically from your favorite 27-year-old influencer who's trying to convince you to buy her product, to eat less food, to do the watermelon fast, to buy her happy juice, whatever the case may be. And that ultimately will lead to something like Anne said, but also always leads to you regaining the weight back, feeling like a miserable human being in the process. And so when you have direction and you have a plan and you have a strategy custom to you, that's the missing link. And that is the only way that it'll ever, 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 and I've done this long enough, you guys. We've helped plenty of women. There's just a wee bit of data here to back that up. The only way it will ever be sustainable for you long term, and not just saying you're in a place where you can say, I look good, but you can honestly say, I feel good. And
Yes.
feel good gets really overshadowed by I want to look good. And I want to look good comes at any cost. Like, I don't care. If I just drop the 20 pounds, I don't care. But yet I feel like a miserable human being. And that's the part that gets overshadowed. So,
Yes.
yeah,
And oh, I want to throw in one last thing that you can do, and you can eat.
give it to us.
And you can eat, right?
Yeah.
That's that's the too good to be true. You don't have to be miserable to lose weight. You don't have to
Starve yourself.
restrict. You don't have to like do all these jumping jacks and all these ridiculous things. You can eat good food. You can love your body. You can get tone. You can do a lot more than what you've ever realized. The diet industry has lied to us, and many of us have fallen victim to it because somebody says, "Look what I got! I got these results in 30 days. Don't you want that?" Of course we do. Of
Yeah.
course we do. Who
We're
wouldn't want
hardwired to
something in
want it
30 days?
quicker, faster. Yeah. Of course we do.
If I could have gotten my degrees in 30 days, I would have. They took a
Yep.
lot longer than that.
Yep. And it is understanding, and I love that you brought that up, is, and if you guys haven't listened to the podcast that I did on food freedom, and I talk about what truly is food freedom, because I think people have this idea that food freedom is being able to eat whatever you want, whenever you want. And that's not food freedom. Food freedom is
Mm-hmm.
understanding how to give your body what it needs and combine it with what you love, right? Like, it's putting you in the driver's seat. And when we talk about food freedom, a lot of people, when they're attached to diet culture and mentality, they can't even grasp the idea of being able to eat a donut and losing weight. Like, that idea just seems so far-fetched and foreign. And it's just like, you're off your rocker. That's never going to work for me. But the missing link of why eating the donut has never worked for you is, like, people say 80-20. I'm more like the 90-10. But people, what happens is they hear me talk about how you can eat donuts and you can do those things. And it's like, well, I tried that and that didn't work. And it's because you didn't master the 80% before you wanted to lean into the 20%. You're only
Mm-hmm.
hearing you can eat donuts, but you are not consistently consuming enough protein, enough fiber. You have no awareness of what your overall caloric consumption looks like. So you want the 20% before you've mastered the 80%. And that math is not mathing. There is no reality where that will work for you. And so when we talk about balance and we talk about an approach that doesn't suck your soul, you don't get the upside, or, of that until you've mastered the other side of that. It's the
Mm-hmm.
teeter totter. And it's like, you really truly have to be able to understand and cultivate those values that go into that 80-90% before you can sit here and say, I want the donuts, I want the cookies, and being able to implement those and understand how that looks. And that's the exact same concept of that person that replied to your TikTok. It's like, how dare you say that we can, eat donuts and cookies for somebody? And it's like, well, you can, but you're still living in the mentality that, or you're still living in the space where you haven't mastered what needs to happen before you can implement those things.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's again, it's not super complicated. It really isn't. It almost seems
Yeah.
painfully simple. Um, really painfully simple, but it's really beautiful because it's not about your intelligence that's lacking. It's not about the fact that you didn't try hard enough. That's the issue. It's because you didn't know what you didn't know and you bought into what people are selling. And that is a majority of us across the board. You buy into the idea that donuts are bad and sugar is addictive. And yes, it is addictive, but there's a strategy involved to have it in your life so that you don't have to binge on it, so that you can feel full and still have something. We've got to have boundaries around everything, right? Like, boundaries are actually what give us some element of self-respect and safety in life. Because when I have boundaries about how I spend money, how I eat food, how I take care of my body, how I love my children, how I take care of my partner, take care of my home, there's a rhythm and a routine for that, right? There's rhythm and routines for everything, but all of it is encompassed in the boundaries that I set and the strategies that I have in place. And many of us have all of those strategies in place for every other arena in our life, with the exception to our own bodies and ourselves.
I love that. You just nailed it. And when you combine those boundaries for yourself and you understand how to implement those boundaries, and then you have a plan and strategy truly custom to you. And then we look at the hormone optimization piece, and all of these puzzle pieces come together, and you're like, holy shit, this is what it's supposed to be like. You're like, this is what I'm supposed to feel like. I'm supposed to have energy. I'm supposed to have, freedom around food. I'm not supposed to, have this excessive guilt for eating the donut. I'm supposed to be able to enjoy life. I'm supposed to be able to look in the mirror and love my body. And when all of those things come together, that right there is what we call the glow up, you guys. That's what we call the glow up. So, anything else to add, Anne, before we?
No, no, this is awesome.
Yeah, this has been great. All right, you guys. Well, as always, if you have found this powerful, you found this insightful, leaving a 5-star review, sharing on your social media, tagging us is always like appreciated, more so than you even know. And then if any of this has resonated and you're truly ready for a plan and strategy that's custom to you and you're ready to tackle this, working with a team who understands the female body, metabolism, hormones, Dr. Ann in your pocket, all of the things that make this the lifelong fix, the application is linked in the bio. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Ciao.
If this is helpful, give me a like, follow me, or subscribe for more.